Hey everyone. So today on a very special episode of the Fireside podcast, I'm joined by the Muskoka Airport CEO, Maciej Habrych. And we're actually inside one of our landline buses, which are on promotion today at their event. So thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank you. Thanks for hosting me.
Really appreciate it. So I'd love to learn the story of the airport, your involvement with aviation as a whole. Like it's not something you kind of stumble into. What really sparked that passion?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. Yeah, leading up to this interview, I was actually reflecting on that. It all started, one day in college. I was watching Top Gun. Sounds cliche, but I mean, you're young, right? Full of testosterone. You're ready
Yeah.
to go. I walked myself into a recruitment office at the Canadian Forces. Said I want to be a pilot.
Yeah.
They're like, great. Do you have a university degree? No, of a college. I'm in college.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
So I did make a decision at that point in my life that, aviation was something that I was passionate about.
Yep.
So what I actually did is, go back in time in a way and got my university credits and went to University of Western, which has a commercial aviation management program,
Yeah.
but also to get your pilot license at the same time.
That's good.
So I did that piece,
Yeah.
but that was during a time when aviation wasn't so hot. There wasn't a lot of jobs. It
Yeah.
was around like 2008, 2010, when the economy wasn't doing so hot in
Yeah.
North America. So I made a conscious decision of trying to stick to management, being home every day.
Yep.
But that led me to some really interesting career progressions. My first real job as a supervisor manager was dealing with the Ministry of Natural Resource, a firefighting fleet up in
Ah,
Sudbury, up in
yeah.
Dryden. So I got to interact with a lot of pilots, a lot of cool aircraft. We're talking those fire bombers
Yeah.
that come and drop water down on blazes, but clearly very seasonal. I was just graduating university, needed full time work, and I was fortunate enough to start working managing private aircraft at Toronto Pearson,
Oh, cool.
which is super.
Yeah.
But so that was an interesting 4 years of my life, dealing with aircraft operations, crew, international planning
Yep.
of trips and whatnot. But then, then I got a girlfriend.
Yep.
Then we started thinking about what's next,
Yep.
and she persuaded me to go out west. So that was an interesting move for us. But I had to look for a job out west. Luckily enough, I was given the opportunity to work as an operations manager for Saskatoon Airport,
Okay.
where I started cutting my teeth, airport ops, and understanding what running an airport truly is, from a regulatory standpoint, from
Yeah.
a safety, from a business development. Then COVID hit. Industry went, essentially went silent. And luckily, I found an opportunity out in BC in the West Kootenays, Cascard, Nelson area to be their first airport manager to come in there and build that airport up, all its programs, all its safety culture, and business development.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting part of my career working in, and I kid you not, it was one of the most challenging airports to get into. It is literally in the middle of a mountain valley with
Okay.
mountains all around it.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, it's if you're into aviation, you probably heard of Cancelgar, which is
Okay.
a Cascar airport.
Yeah.
We canceled so much, it was nicknamed Cancelgar. So I definitely had some interesting times there,
Oh, yeah.
but also provide some really interesting solutions there.
Yeah.
Well, one thing, what I did there was introduce what we call the IROP, regular operation bus.
Okay.
So if a flight canceled, Air Canada would take you on a bus to Kelowna so they could rebook you
Oh,
onwards.
okay.
So that was an interesting pilot, which is interesting enough. It was the lessons learned from that experience
That's what I was gonna
is
say.
what drove this Air Canada landline product
Yeah.
is busing people back and forth and seeing how that works and what the kinks could be.
Yep.
So that was an interesting time, and then eventually we've been out of province for 10 years. We decided to come back to Ontario, originally from Hamilton, and Muskoka Airport was looking for a new CEO, looking for someone to come in and do some interesting things here.
Yeah.
Get the airport plugged into the community and just make it relevant for the region here.
Yeah.
So I look at this as an amazing challenge, and especially with my broad and very diversified experience in aviation, I was able to obviously get the job, but
Yeah.
also now start making an impact
Yeah.
with that, right? And case in point, the Air Canada landline starting June 15th is that first step forward for
Yeah.
Muskoka Airport.
Having a career like that, you've really gotten all of the bases covered when it comes down to challenges that you've seen in the past and then being able to implement it here. Like there's a lot of people outside of cottagers that are looking
Yeah,
for travel back and
of
forth, and
course.
we're sitting on one of those phenomenal resources that
Yeah,
people have now, where it's, I live in Muskoka, I want to go to Bermuda.
yeah,
How do we do that?
simple.
And this beats, let me tell you, to the viewers that are looking, these are some comfortable seats. There's Wi-Fi on the bus. It's phenomenal, air conditioning, all that stuff. Much better option than trying to tackle the drive yourself,
Yeah,
cussing on Highway 400. So no, this is a phenomenal setup that you've got, and yeah, just the abundance of aircraft and great community here,
yeah.
and everyone that we spoke to at the airport today, super helpful people. Everyone's very welcoming and is very quick to show you where everything is. That's a really interesting perspective. And when it comes down to the airport from a business development perspective, I know there's probably a lot of different aviation communities
Yeah.
and connecting with different companies and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So I'd really love to learn kind of, is it majority of the business that comes through private aircraft?
Yeah, so that's actually a great question, and it's fundamental to the Muskoka Airport story.
Yeah.
Really, Muskoka Airport is one of the key economic drivers for the region
Yep.
because one, we know it's a very popular cottage country,
Yep.
leisure town, especially in this warm weather.
Yeah.
And with that comes the cottage goers, and with Muskoka having such an international wide net of people coming to
Yes.
visit its beauty,
Yep.
private aviation is just a natural segment supporting that transportation
For sure.
coming in out of this area. So yes, we are heavily focused on private aviation. We do about 1,000 private jets a year,
Yep.
which
Wow.
which is quite a lot.
That's a big number.
That's private jets. We're not talking about turboprop planes. We're not talking about other more luxurious planes as well,
Yeah.
like a turboprop plane.
Okay.
But 1,000 jets. So think of like a big Bombardier.
Yeah.
That's a significant plane. So we handle those. We have a really dedicated and professional line crew that fuels, that marshals them in, provides aviation services.
Yeah.
We are bringing in de-icing this winter,
Nice.
which this airport has historically lacked, and it's been known that it needs.
Yeah.
What that de-icing capability provides us now is for people to arrive knowing they have the comfort to get out.
Yes.
So we could de-ice them. So what that's going to bring is a whole different dimension of business development,
Yep.
especially in the high net worth segment.
Yeah.
If we're looking to really grow the winter adventure side of things here, which I know Muskoka region is really actively pursuing.
Yeah, no, there's
Yeah.
so many fantastic things to do in the winter. When people think of Muskoka, they're obviously thinking of docks and water skiing and stuff like that. But Muskoka is a real rich entertainment things to do.
So
You like ice fishing?
yeah,
Ice fishing, some of the best in the country.
yeah.
So there's a lot of really cool stuff that
Mhm.
goes on in the winter. But yeah, no, by bringing people in, it helps the local economy too. Because all those folks have a project in town. It's the lumber, the contractor, gasoline, all that kind of stuff, and it all flows towards the local economy, which is awesome.
100%. And we can't also forget about our key aerospace tenants here.
Yes.
So, just to side of us here, we have Muskoka Paint Refinishings, we have Sky Service. These are one of the few businesses in Canada that handle large up to 737 aircraft, and they're starting to get busier and busier as new orders come online with
Ye-
airlines
Yeah.
and now with the D&D military spending happening.
Yep.
We're well positioned to take advantage of those, really, of that business
Yeah.
to come to Muskoka Airport,
Yeah.
which means more jobs,
Oh,
which
100%.
means more economic driving, just more economic growth here, really starting at the airport, working its way out. And de-icing is really a catalyst for that. Is no one is going to bring their Air Canada plane here to get painted,
Yep.
knowing that they can't get out.
Yeah.
So right now is they're looking elsewhere. They're even looking in the US, which isn't good, right?
No.
We want to
Keep
keep
it
that
local.
keep it
Yeah.
local, exactly.
Yeah. Helps
Right.
everyone.
Supports everyone, supports the airport, supports local businesses.
Yeah.
Right. So it's little improvements like this which is helping the airport be more of a true 365-day airport, supporting well the community, but also the aerospace
Yeah.
industry here.
I'd love to learn about the de-icing.
Sure.
So a plane comes in,
Yes.
lands, and then I guess it sits idle for a bit. People are in and out if it's a private aircraft, they're doing something. Would the plane traditionally stay here while the folks are in town, or do they do other routes?
It depends, right?
Yeah.
Some people are fortunate enough to own their own private
Yep.
jet,
Good point.
and that's their own private vehicle in a way.
Yeah.
They may choose to send it elsewhere, or they may choose to let it stay here for a few nights.
Yep.
The other option is they charter. So they go to a NetJets, FlexJets. Basically, it's a shuttle. They get dropped off, and that plane goes repositions to the next
Yeah.
destination. But either way, if it's actively snowing or if there's frost, especially in the clouds, then de-icing becomes a key component. That knowing that you have to de-ice to depart,
Yep.
because no one's going to come in if you can't depart.
Yeah.
So right now they would choose not to come, or they would, look at other airports further away. This allows them now to operate directly here. But yeah, if you leave a plane for a few days, and if it snows, we know it snows here a lot.
Oh yeah.
So you may be coming to your plane with a foot of snow. So now we'll have a capability of decontaminating that contaminant, ice, snow, whatever it might be, and then doing anti-icing application, which allows you when you take off that you're not going to pick up icing in the clouds within the first couple thousand feet.
Yeah.
So now that capability is coming,
That's
and that's going to
perfect.
change the way we operate here.
Yeah. And if you did come back to a plane and it did have that amount of snow in it, would the de-icer remove the snow, or is that like a brush that you would use?
So it's a liquid chemical
Yeah.
that comes in, essentially just melts it.
Yeah.
But then we have to apply an anti-ice on
Okay.
top of that.
Got it.
So they call it
Two
type
step.
1 or
Yeah.
type 4.
Oh,
Type
okay.
1 is getting rid of the contaminant, ice, snow, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Type 4 is the anti-ice application, which
Got-
which prevents icing from forming.
Cool. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So somebody lands here. It looks like they've got a shuttle over there as well. If
Mhm.
you're looking to get around town or
Yeah.
end up at an Airbnb from a local business. But no, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How long has Muskoka Airport been around for?
Geez, it's been along for a while.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know Muskoka Airport has deep military roots. Trained the Norwegian Air Force during World War II.
Oh, that's a cool fact.
So hence the little Norway museum here. So
Oh.
once Norway was in a bit of trouble in the World War II with Germany essentially occupying their land.
Yep.
What happened was all Norwegian pilots were shipped here to Canada.
Yeah.
And trained on aircraft to go back to the war in peace. So they could train here in peace, not being bombarded.
Oh.
So there's deep Norwegian roots here at Muskoka Airport. And
Yeah.
Billy Bishop, we're sister and brother airports.
Cool.
A
I
lot of
didn't know
people,
that.
yeah, a lot of people don't know that. So much so that in 2009, Norwegian government sponsored, in part with Fednor and the municipality, the terminal building you see here.
Well, that's so cool.
So there's actually an established, they call it the Little Norway Museum
Oh.
in the back, which has artifacts from that time,
Yeah.
but also that room, I call it the cigar room, the
Yeah.
Scotch room.
Yeah.
It's actually owned by the Norwegian government,
That's neat.
which is super cool.
Yeah.
So you'll notice the Norwegian influence once you walk through.
That is so
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Wow, what a unique piece of history to
Yeah.
just have.
Right at home.
Yeah, man, oh man. That's really neat. No, it's there's such great heritage here in Muskoka. And when it comes down to just little tidbits of information like that, like there's no shortage of, a little bit of information here, a little bit of
Yeah.
information there.
100%.
When it comes down to forest fires,
Yes.
you talked about your experience in the past managing the fleets and when it comes
Mhm.
down to the water bombers. Do you guys have any sort of programs that launch out of this airport?
Actually, yeah, we do actually. We are home to a small satellite Ministry of Natural M&R base
Yeah.
here on site, which services helicopters, the small Beaver on floats.
Yeah.
We get that, but we're also a staging ground for the ministry and the water bombers.
Okay.
Obviously, Muskoka is a very condensed, high net worth property value area.
Yeah.
So if there's fires in the vicinity, Muskoka Airport is used heavily as a staging ground for quick response for the Ministry Natural Resource water bomber fleet.
Yeah.
And those are the bird dog planes. Those are the CL. We call them the ducks
Yeah.
because they pick up water as
I've
they
been-
go.
Yeah, no, we had a good friend of ours who was working in Chapleau.
Oh, I've been in
And-
Chapleau.
And she was working as a forest firefighter
Yeah.
there and got the opportunity to get up and close. And there's not much seating in there
No, it's nothing.
besides pilot. And
Yeah.
then you've got the space for everything. But it's talk about, I was thinking about being a pilot for one of those things and skipping along the water like a stone.
Oh,
Like
it's crazy.
it's probably not for everyone.
No,
but
it's very specialized flying.
yeah.
Very special. It takes a very skilled pilot, one to have the confidence.
Yeah.
To go drop that plane down.
Yep.
Really in the lake.
Yeah.
And pick up water and take off and drop it.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't realize is the water chutes to pick up the water. There's two, and they're only this big, about the size of like a
Oh,
called like a
my.
crunch, like a I don't know, maybe like a crunch bar, like a crunch
Yeah.
bar. But the amount of pressure and force
Yes.
coming down with all the inertia of the plane pushing
Yeah.
forward, it fills up those tanks in no time, and that's why they're so efficient. Right, where the other option could be very, very common in out west, like in BC, are the fire retardant planes that drop
Yeah.
a retardant down,
Yeah.
but they have to go back to base and reload.
Oh, that takes time.
Yeah, time and it's a different strategy with that retardant. The water one is it's very tactical, and you
Yeah.
can do many stops before you have to return to an airport to refuel or change crew. So they're quite efficient, especially when there's lots of lakes.
Yeah. Would the retardant be used to like kind of cover areas that haven't been touched yet?
It's prevent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's more of a preventer, right? So if the
Yeah.
fire's going one way, they'll go and retard, whatever feet ahead of it.
Uh-huh.
But that's so it doesn't
Firewall.
catch,
Yeah.
and that allows the crews, to go behind it and
Yep.
hopefully knock it down further.
Um,
Yeah, it's
it's
quite
cool.
quite an interesting, quite an interesting operation.
Yeah. No, my uncle is or was, I'm not sure if he's still doing it, but he was a forest firefighter out in Lake Country
Okay,
in the Okanagan.
nice.
And they have a lot of activity out there.
Well, they've been hit lately. They've been hard lately. Like,
Unfortunately.
yeah.
Yep. No, it's but having the right equipment and the right team to
Mhm.
tackle those issues, especially as they become more, I guess, prevalent, is super key. And to just have that sort of mobilization unit here
Yeah.
helps a lot of people
Oh,
rest assured that help is right around
exactly.
the
Exactly, right? 'Cause we know it could be a fire, it could be a, lightning strike, it could be man-made,
Yep.
but they grow quick, right? Especially
Yeah.
with climate change,
Yep.
is the thing. Yeah, those fires are getting, hotter faster,
Yeah.
and they're coming earlier in the season than we're typically used to. So it's good to know that Muskoka Airport supports that here for the region, as a, as a springboard, for quick emergency response.
Yeah. Oh, no, like, there was 2 years ago now, I think, but I walked out and I live in Mississauga, but I walked out onto my balcony and I went, "No, it smells like there must be an apartment fire or something." And then I learned that that campfire smell that I was smelling was actually smoke blowing in from out of town. But yeah, no, it's very important to have that stuff set up.
Yeah.
That's cool. Did you end up getting your pilot's license?
I
Yeah?
did, as part of the Western program, I did,
Oh, that's cool.
but I never did, pursue as a career.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, made that call
yeah,
when I was, yeah, during
you fly a
university.
plane, man.
Good.
That's
It's
cool.
been a minute,
Yeah.
but
Riding a bike, I
yeah,
hear. Yeah.
yeah, maybe not. Maybe the most complicated unicycle bike.
Yeah.
It's more like a unicycle.
Yeah.
But no, but I would, I know how to fly.
That's
But
cool.
it's been a minute. It's
Yeah.
been a minute.
You know, I am feeling inspired now.
You should. There's a flight school right there.
Yeah,
You should.
no, I was talking to Near North over
Mhm.
there, and they were just talking about the different programs that have in place. And man, it just makes it sound like it's obviously it's a huge endeavor. It's a big thing to
It
get,
is.
but it's like one of those things where I think you start breaking it down into manageable chunks, and then it becomes a little bit more palatable.
It does.
But I just think that like that first trip on your own has to be a
Something.
spooky
It is, right? Because, I mean, you're in the first little bit of your flight training, you're with
Yeah.
an instructor who's there in
Yeah,
case,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
They're guiding you, teaching you, coaching you up, or whatever it is. Everyone's different.
Yeah.
But and oftentimes you don't know you're going solo.
Oh.
So you'll be on a flight with an instructor, basically confirming everything, but then they get out, like you're on your own. So then all of a sudden you're closing the canopy, and you're locking it up, and you
Okay.
realize it's real. Like
Yeah.
you're the pilot in command now.
Yes.
That's your first pilot in command log entry. So if
Yes.
you think about that, right, it's just switches your mentality,
100%.
and then that's a
Big
very
responsibility.
yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It's your life on the
Yeah.
line, right?
Yep.
So now you have to, I mean, rely on the training, rely on everything you've learned,
Yeah.
and go and execute, which is one really rewarding,
Yeah.
but also it's nerve wracking.
Yeah.
Especially in your first few minutes. You're making sure you're doing everything right. You're extra vigilant on your gauges.
Yeah.
So it's a great feeling once you touch down.
Yeah.
Once you touch down. So my first I just won't go. It's a long story, but my first solo flight, I was gone.
Yeah.
So I got sent off, and then I'm taxiing to the runway, and then all of a sudden the snowbirds come through. So I don't know if you ever watched the snowbird
Yeah.
arrive at airports. They come in threes, and then they fly around and start landing. So I was literally waiting there for half an hour to take off. I'm just shaking at this point, right? I'm like,
Oh
one is
my.
costing me an arm and a leg
Yeah.
because it's costing
Gas
me
is-
gas,
yeah.
well, gas and time,
Yeah.
and two is, I mean, it's my first solo.
Yeah.
So I take off. It was only like 20 minutes, right? Went
Yeah.
outside the zone, did a whatever, and came back.
Yeah.
And sure enough, that was enough time for the snowbirds to get fueled up.
Yep.
And wanting to depart. So this time they're waiting for me to land. So think about whatever's like 12, 13
Yeah.
snowbirds, just chugging gas. They asked me, the air traffic control towers, like, can you vacate for 20 minutes? I told them no. I waited half an hour.
Yeah.
So I'm like, they're gonna wait for me to land.
That's a
You know what I
power
mean?
move.
No, well, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But you know why? But like, you can hear them laughing in the background.
Oh, that's
But
funny.
but you
So
know
they
what? Like,
yeah, they
yeah,
got you.
exactly. But 2 minutes later, right, I was on the ground and everything was fine, right? But
That's like teeing off in front of Tiger Woods.
a little bit.
Yeah.
And shaking it. But no, it was a good memory. My
Uh,
short-lived pilot career.
yeah, that's so
Yeah,
neat,
yeah.
man. That's so neat. Yeah, I guess like the first few flights, you got to get the jitters
You
out.
do.
But yeah.
But you know what? The more you fly and the more, one, you feel comfortable and
Mhm.
the flight school feels comfortable with you flying, the
Yeah.
further you go.
Yeah.
So as part of your private pilot's license, you have to do a cross-country trip, which is, a significant trip, right? Here in Muskoka, we actually see a lot of those pilots coming
Yeah.
from Brampton, Oshawa,
Yeah.
anywhere there's flight schools, and they use Muskoka as one of their cross-country points.
That's cool.
So they physically have to come in. We have to stamp their logbook that they actually showed up,
Yeah.
and then they go on to their next. So they're relying on their navigational skills or
Yeah.
their map skills, their radio work. So it's your real first. You're kind of gone from the nest. You're on
Yeah.
your own, right? So and
Yeah.
that's another nerve-wracking point as well.
Yeah. Well, that's so cool. Well, you got to have a cooler full of ham
Yeah.
sandwiches or turkey sandwiches
Always.
when they roll through.
We used to call them the $500 burger runs because you pick an airport to fly to because you have to, and then as long as they have a restaurant,
Yeah.
you buy burgers and it costs you $500 in fuel. Simple as that, right?
Yeah. Well, just out of curiosity,
Sure.
so for, I guess, this brand name that I have, Cessna, like a smaller plane, how far could you get on one of those things before you'd have to touch down?
Well, many factors, right? What's your headwind? How are you
Yes.
flying? Are you flying for endurance or are you flying for range?
Yeah.
Are you flying for time? Are you flying for distance?
Yeah.
It all depends on what you're doing. But
Yeah.
honestly, it's been a minute. I actually flew Diamonds, which were manufactured in London.
Okay.
A different plane than a Cessna fundamentally.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, I think you get 3 to 4 hours of good flight time safely, where you have enough
Yeah.
fuel in the bank, like in the bank, in case something happens, to
Yeah.
divert, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So I think 3 to 4 hours seems reasonable.
You can
Just
get a
depends
good
how you fly.
distance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, sir. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for
Oh,
coming
my
on the
pleasure.
podcast. Really appreciate
Yeah.
it. So if folks want to learn
Yeah.
more about Muskoka Airport, the exciting stuff that's going on, your partnerships, where should they tune in?
Nice and easy. MuskokaAirport.ca. And if you want to book the Air Canada landline, it's aircanada.com.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thanks everyone. Have a great weekend. And I think I'm going to go grab a hot dog and a bottle of water. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.